I mean, why would Angel Reese want Caitlin Clark in this new league? If Caitlin Clark is there, the spotlight of Angel Reese, it becomes a shadow.
Angel Reese completely lost it after Caitlin Clark secured that massive deal with Unrivaled, exposing just how shaky the new league's entry into women's basketball really is. The whole situation makes Unrivaled look clueless, almost as if they are writing the handbook on how not to launch a league. They went after nearly every player imaginable, yet somehow overlooked the one superstar who could have instantly elevated their brand and put them on the map, Caitlin Clark.
Unfortunately, it's a star that most people don't like.
Yeah, they stacked up Angel Reese, AJA Wilson, and a whole lineup of other players, acting like this random mix would somehow turn into a winning formula. Seriously, what were they thinking? It took them way too long to wake up and realize the obvious. Caitlin Clark is their only real shot at even coming close to success.
Now they're realizing we might need Caitlin.
So now they've dumped bags of cash at Clark's feet while Reese is stuck watching the true superstar walk away with the prize. She's practically fuming as Unrivaled finally comes to terms with the reality. Without Caitlin Clark, they are nothing more than a desperate, money-burning circus.
They are offering Caitlin Clark $1 million for 2 months of her services. $1 million to carry a new basketball league from January to March.
This so-called league has the audacity to think it's about to revolutionize women's basketball, but without Caitlin Clark, it's anything but memorable. At the end of the day, it's just a 3-on-3 experiment desperately searching for a spark to stay alive. And when your roster is stacked with who's that players instead of real game changers, there's little chance you're going to set the sports world on fire.
Unrivaled is going to feature the 30 best pretend basketball players, with the vast majority of them being anonymous. Now, they do have one star committed to playing in the league.
TNT's $100 million, 6-year gamble on Unrivaled looks less like a smart investment and more like a blind bet, because without Caitlin Clark those TV ratings are bound to freeze out like Antarctica. Clark isn't just a player, she's a phenomenon, a ticket machine who sells out arenas and forces venues to expand seating every time she steps on the court. Yet Unrivaled somehow thought they could stall for 3 months and roll out 26 other names before realizing she's the only star who could put them on the map. Now they are scrambling in desperation, throwing money at her as a last-ditch Hail Mary to save a league with no foundation, while their PR team, busy amplifying negative comments about Clark instead of drawing her in, has practically written the playbook on self-sabotage.
And in the same vein, they were also liking negative comments about Caitlin Clark from the official Unrivaled basketball Instagram account, like during the season. So all of these things were just not a good look.
Unrivaled's official channels actually went out of their way to back posts undermining the very player they are now begging to join, making it look like they couldn't decide if they wanted Caitlin Clark on board or gone altogether, and bad-mouthing the one superstar you desperately need isn't exactly a winning strategy. All they proved is how out of touch they are with what fans really want. Meanwhile, Ice Cube's Big Three showed them exactly how it's done. He recognized Clark's value instantly, skipped the games, and put a clear, serious offer on the table. More than he pays some ex-NBA players, without petty social media drama. While the Big Three moved with respect and confidence, Unrivaled stumbled over its own missteps and looked amateurish in comparison. Now, in a frantic attempt to cover their blunders, they are showering Clark with Lionel Messi-style money, offering $1 million for just 2 months plus a potential ownership stake, proving they are less a visionary league and more a desperate circus tossing cash like confetti.
Unrivaled League needs Caitlin Clark, and they are preparing to offer her a massive deal. But is it all too little too late?
This last-minute cash grab isn't about appreciating Caitlin Clark's talent. It's about masking Unrivaled's massive blunder. It's as if they suddenly woke up to the reality that they are doomed without her, so now they are dumping whatever they can at her feet and praying she bites. But if they truly valued her, they wouldn't be scrambling in desperation today. They would have been at her door months ago, instead of waiting until every other plan had already crashed and burned.
Caitlin Clark doesn't need any money. She has plenty of endorsement deals. I think she is totally fine. And I think for her body and for her mental health, it might not be the best thing for her.
Even with a boatload of cash on the table, Caitlin Clark has every reason to keep her distance from Unrivaled, a league with no foundation, no track record, and absolutely no clue. Signing on would risk dragging her name down to the level of a shaky startup that's already teetering on collapse. Clark's brand is built on credibility, star power, and proven success, and tying herself to a league that could crash and burn before the season even ends is a gamble she doesn't need to take. The real question isn't whether Clark should accept their offer, it's whether Unrivaled has done anything to deserve her in the first place.
So do I think Caitlin Clark should join Unrivaled? I'm not so sure. I think that the money needs to be high. It needs to be in the millions. It needs to be at least what Cube offered her for the big three at minimum.
Now let's take a moment to appreciate the pure comedy of Angel Reese's reaction to Caitlin Clark's $1 million Unrivaled deal. It's nothing short of a meltdown. This is the same Reese who never missed a chance to complain about her modest $75,000 WNBA salary and once acted like Clark was just another player in the mix, but now the envy is practically pouring off her. Clark just secured a bag worth $1 million. And suddenly Reese can't hide her frustration. It's one of the most transparent displays of jealousy women's basketball has ever seen.
I thought WNBA players didn't like Caitlin Clark.
Months, Angel Reese brushed off Caitlin Clark's influence, convincing herself she'd be just fine without her, but that narrative collapsed the moment Clark landed that massive Unrivaled check. Suddenly, the whole "we don't need Clark" storyline is in shambles as Reese watches her rival being courted with perks and a paycheck that would make any WNBA player stop in their tracks. The same Reese who once rolled her eyes at the mere mention of Clark is now stuck facing the irony, and honestly, the comedy, of having to acknowledge that Clark's market power exists on an entirely different level.
So Angel Reese is playing in this league. Dejanay Carrington is playing in this league. Obviously, I feel like that's the biggest name where there is some sort of tension. Whether there's tension between Caitlin and Dejanay, we don't know, but there is still that narrative.
And then there's the massive pay gap, with stars like AJA Wilson likely feeling the sting of being left behind. Sure, she might publicly applaud Unrivaled for snagging Clark, but let's be honest, watching Clark leapfrog her in endorsements can't sit well. Both Wilson and Reese are household names in the WNBA, yet neither comes close to touching Clark's earning power. Reese, despite her headline-grabbing antics and constant media presence, can't even sniff the level of deals Clark is landing. Nike, State Farm, you name it, they are throwing money at her. These contracts aren't just about income. They are proof of Clark's unmatched clout, the kind Reese can only dream of. Seeing Clark's face plastered across national ad campaigns while her own financial struggles remain a talking point has to sting, and Reese's frustration is written all over her public reactions.
This is your opportunity to see if you can survive without her. This is your opportunity to see if Angel Reese is enough of a draw to carry a new league. I think the answer's no, but
if Clark does sign with Unrivaled, the WNBA could be staring down a serious crisis. Picture top players comparing their modest paychecks to Clark's $1 million deal and deciding they've had enough of earning scraps while she rakes in millions. For a league that already struggles to retain talent, a mass exodus would be devastating. And if Unrivaled proves it's willing to pay up, it could trigger exactly that. This isn't just a win for Unrivaled. It's a glaring red warning sign that the WNBA can't keep pace, exposing the cracks in its already fragile financial foundation.
What Ice Cube offered Caitlin before the Big Three season began. I commend Ice Cube because you have to think about the type of ego.
But let's not forget, Clark's brilliance lies in 5-on-5 basketball, where she dominates as a true floor general, not in some pickup-style 3-on-3 format. Tossing her into Unrivaled's experimental setup raises real questions about whether it can even work long-term, especially with critics already doubting if 3-on-3 can hold fan interest. By betting the entire league on Clark's shoulders, Unrivaled is essentially praying she can carry them, because without her, they are on a one-way track to irrelevance. And while they are desperate for her star power, Clark hardly needs them. She's already sitting on a $28 million Nike endorsement, alongside deals with brands like State Farm. She's not just another player, she's the rare kind of athlete that brands fight over, with marketability almost unheard of in women's sports.
Here's the potential problem. Caitlin Clark already has money. She signed a $28 million deal with Nike. She's got endorsement deals from State Farm.
Unrivaled is desperate to piggyback on Clark's stardom, imagining her presence will give them legitimacy and a shot at competing with the big leagues. But here's the harsh reality. Without her, they are nothing more than another hollow, wishful project in an already crowded sports world. They are banking on her golden touch to make people care, as if her star power alone could somehow elevate a poorly built lineup into something worth watching. Every ounce of hope and every dollar they have is being thrown at convincing Clark to sign, and the sad truth is they have no fallback, no alternative, no plan B. If she walks away, they are finished. Her draw, her marketability, her influence, those are things Unrivaled has never had and couldn't buy even if they tried. The neediness is so overwhelming, it's flat out embarrassing.